I really need to change that up, actually. You know what? I'm going to do that real quick. I'm just going to change the name of it. I'm going to get confused otherwise. So, let's rename that. I'm already liking the sound of this, so this works too. Alright, that actually says everything I need right there. Let's put you down. Hi, baby girl. Yarp. Okay. And then finally, I was going right back to YouTube because that's where I'm going to get ready to start doing this. It's going to be a new thing. Oh, man. Oh, actually, that's almost perfect for starter. All right. Well, first off, this stream will be live on YouTube. I don't usually do the mornings, but I wanted to just start something out before I made it official, before I tried to go through with it, and just give myself a chance to actually go through the motions of getting into something that I'm actually kind of interested in. So, here for a moment, I'm gonna be. I guess I'm actually going to try to get into a podcast. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but it's been off and on for a number of years. I've only done it a couple different. I've actually only literally posted my own podcast maybe once or twice, I think, in the last few years that I've been really. Actually, not even few years. It's been. Let's see here. Sorry to go through all the history of it. It just really hit just how long it's been that I've been wanting to do this, because I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. Yeah, I was at the very beginning of my service to this country, celebrating my time graduating high school and going out and doing my own thing. It was actually kind of surprising that it's actually been that long, because I was in from 2012 to 2016, and here we are, and it's the last day of the year, and it's 2021. Holy crap, it's 2021, and we're about to be in 2022, and approximately it is 10:32 my time right now, so 12, 13 13 and a half hours, roughly speaking, 13 and a half hours until the end of 2021. Man, I wasn't trying to get all emotional here, but that's just that it really does hit when you realize what day it is, what time it is, and how close you are. Even though it's not technically an end, because time just keeps flowing, it's just gonna go on with regardless without you. This just hit really quickly that it is, in fact, 13 hours away from basically just a new way of, or it's an updated way of keeping track of time. That's really all it is. Now we know it's going to become 2022. Okay, that is just. Yeah, that hit a lot harder than I thought it would as soon as I realized what time it was. What time and date it happens to be in this world. But not trying to get all philosophical in that case. I did want to get down to exactly what the beans of I don't know how to phrase it. I don't have my own little thought process on that one. Yes, it's just the commonalities that I'm not familiar with. But what is the point of what it is that I'm doing? Why am I getting on here to make a podcast? and it's something that I have been interested in for, well, a number of years, like almost a decade now. I have been interested in doing a podcast, and I've never put forth the effort outside of just the two uploads. I don't even remember what apps they were. I just remember downloading them and trying them out. But I was in the stairwell of the barracks. It was kind of weird, and it sounds like I've got my daughter trying to compete with me for my voice. So I'm gonna hope that all this background noise doesn't get too excessive. I'm raising my daughter, stay-at-home dad, while being able to also produce what it is to be that I'm trying to express here real soon. I'm trying to let you guys know about exactly what it is I'm hoping to dig into. And well, the title of, I'm not having too many issues. It's just pretty clear that she's going to be talking or trying to talk with me. So I'm wondering if potentially she needs to be up in my face, so this way she can be part of this. Because technically that's actually part of what this stream and what this podcast to YouTube is, or in most social media is going to be about, is basically it's surviving in this modern world as a getting into business, doing your own thing, becoming an entrepreneur. It's I don't know. So the channel just hi Breadcrumb, good to see you, and thank you for showing up. I hope I can make this as seamless as possible. I don't have any notes outside of what the title was supposed to be about this, but I wanted to get through the very beginning stages of what this show was meant to be. Oh shoot, I completely forgot. No, I completely forgot. I completely forgot to update Twitch. Maybe I should change that. Yay. Yeah, that was smart. I should have done that first. Okay. Let's do that real quick. Ah, man. The Dawn has spoken. Gathering resources. I really hope I spelled that correctly. I don't remember. I don't think so. It doesn't look right. You have to type it out first and start realizing if you made a mistake or not. Yay! Though it worked! It worked! It works! Obviously I remember how to spell. I graduated high school. And college, technically. Oh, thank you for keeping this going. Thank you very much. I actually really appreciate that. Tenant in the house? Alright, now we're updating. Wait, no. Shoot, I even do it one step further. One step further, and it's not just chatting. I'm doing it official. This is it. This is me getting into it. My very first. My very, very first. Alright. Let's get into this, shall we? Let's just dig right in. I might not stick around for much longer because I was about to stream. Hey, fair enough. Hey, that just means that as soon as I'm finished, if you're still active, I would actually love to be able to, well, send a raid. I hope you enjoy a raid at least. I'm not sure how many viewers I might have, but I'll still give it to you no matter what, because at least I'll be a viewer. I will most definitely be a viewer today. Well, just to dig right in, now that I fixed everything, I was meant to do this. Nice, and thank you. I really appreciate you doing that, by the way. Sorry, I'm willing to sit back and read it, but if it's just a few of us, I can just read through it. But otherwise, I will speak it out and be able to check and verify how many people are in fact here with me, I guess, that are all watching it. Because if I'm just sitting here silently, it's gonna confuse me. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna really confuse me. So here's the result of what my what 2021 is doing for me right now. This is my very first podcast that I'm actually wanting to stick with. That I'm gonna try my best to keep and maintain for my best attempt. Because quite frankly, I'm going all in. I've spoken it here in the house with my wife and tenant for a number of months now, but it's getting through the process of actively doing it. If I actually do the action that I say that I'm going to do. And now that I'm bursting right through, it doesn't need to be a New Year's resolution. I don't need to start it on New Year's Day. No, I'm starting it right before. Like I mentioned before when I was getting all excited about it, we are at 13 hours roughly where I'm at from the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. It's not necessarily an end, but it's fantastic that I have gotten this far, and I've come to realize just how much has been accomplished. I mean, this right here shows me a lot of my accomplishments. And this has changed my life. I hope for the better. I really hope for the better. We will definitely see in time what happens with this channel as I keep up with this process, but that's precisely the point of what I wanted to talk about today is what becoming a parent has basically done for me, and in the process of that, how it's going to affect my future as not only pursuing my own version of education as well as digging into what exactly that I was going to be doing after college. Like, what did I actually think that was going to happen when I finally got that graduation button started? And so far, it's the hardest part about every business, that probably many people just don't understand how simplified it actually is. I'm gathering resources. And I think every successful entrepreneur basically does that all the time. It's just a understanding and evaluation of gathering resources. And this year has been amazing, a year for stream for me. I'm actually kind of surprised that I've got that similar process. I mean, I've already proclaimed it. You guys have given me every opportunity to make this stream decent, and I feel like I'm screwing up horribly. This year was just hard as all Sam Haven. I knew that this is what I was gonna do post college, but I didn't know just how intense it was going to be to have it part of my life while I was still in school. Believe it or not, I have actually been doing online work, or not online work, social media. I have been using social media now for successfully a whole year. If you think about how long I've been posting to YouTube, it's been even longer. I've been posting to YouTube now for a year and a half, and I mean, holy crap, how far I've come. I'm opening up a third channel on YouTube. I have 3 separate channels right now that I'm keeping up with, and it's moving on. It's building up, and I'm finding more interest in other things, and I'm wanting to do other things. Yes, hi. And would you look at that, the timing of getting the perfect moment for a sip break, and just in enough room for me to be able to let everyone know that this channel is very lovingly sponsored by a fantastic person who I can actually show you today. Oh my gosh, am I excited about that. He is now active again on YouTube, and I could not be more excited to be able to show you guys that this is who he is. This is just freaking amazing. It feels really weird to be able to say this. Maybe if I can, maybe it's the right one. I guess I have to find it. Give me just a short moment. Apparently, I have not. I haven't remembered this for some time, so I guess not. There we go. Scrambling. There we go. I'm just gonna keep it on this one. I don't care. All right. And for obvious reasons, he's not very huge, but here you go. 3, 2, 1. This is the channel that is keeping, or that is sponsoring this channel. It's ironic that I'm actually working with a YouTuber now. I mean, he's not a lot. He doesn't do a whole lot, obviously. I mean, he is just barely above me, but that's still more than I have. That's what gets me. This is still more than I have. If you look at my channel whatsoever, or if you know anything about my channel, I have 20 subscribers less than he does. And he's been doing stuff for a lot longer. It's just hilarious to me that this is exactly what is happening now. He is getting back into, well, social media, and that includes YouTube. But I'm the one that he's sponsoring. It's not the other way around. He's helping me. I purchased his coffee from Food Forest Farms, right here, just to keep everyone, just to remind everyone. Right there, that's his store. I purchased his coffee. And if you guys would like to use that discount code in the description below, you can get a pretty decent amount of coffee for a lower price. And if you guys like coffee and you like being able to get up and do stuff, you like being able to keep yourself active, pursuing business, pursuing your own interest, doing things, just having something, it's an alternative from soda. It's not unhealthy. You put the right things in it and it tastes fantastic, unless you like it black. Which, I like coffee. I have for a very long time. It's always suited me. I saw you almost hit that. I am so glad I caught you. Oh, my daughter nearly just slammed her head into the desk. Trying to sit forward. Thank you, baby girl. With stuff with social media, I remember growth is growth. Exactly. And that's what I haven't really looked back and appreciated. I have been gathering resources all year. For the past 2 years, in fact. But just so you're aware, this is my biggest channel. This is my biggest channel. It is abysmal, and clearly, I'm not big. I'm not trying to sit here and tell everyone that I'm gonna toot my own horn and say that I'm doing well as a creator. I'm willing to put stuff out there. That's all I'm doing. But I'm trying to find out where I'm going. Look, I mean, I've been doing games for the first quite a bit, actually. I enjoy being able to play games. It's something that's always been a part of my life, so it's something that I keep with. But the same thing goes for exactly what I'm trying to get into, which is the only reason why I'm not excited to be able to let everyone know about the slow growth of being a lifestyle farmer. I'm getting into this process. It's very slow, but it's also the most rewarding and the most challenging. I'm literally just growing my own birds for the purpose of feeding my local community and learning as much as possible to make that happen. That's what this channel is about. I'm literally just learning as much as possible. It's even the start. This is actually my very first channel. That's how much everything has changed. If you guys actually look over in the right-hand corner over here, I've gained 3 channels. Today is the first day that I'm going to be posting to my very first ever This is going to make me feel very awkward. To my very first podcast. I haven't even started it. I just knew that I wanted to have it as a concept. But this is exactly what I'm doing. This is my channel. I just got to figure out where it's going to go. So, now that you guys got all that background as to what I'm getting into, what it is that I'm starting about, like, why would I want to get into this? That's what hits me every time. Why would I want to get into this? There's a lot of, everybody does podcasting these days, so what's so special about mine? What's so unique that I deserve to be able to speak my mind and put it out for all of the internet and potential for others to gain access to? And that's simple. I've kind of always been a teacher of sorts, it's from what I've been told for a very long time that I would end up a teacher, and I no, I'm not gonna end up a teacher. I do not like teaching. I really can't stand being in a leading position that involves teaching others and giving them access to the knowledge that I have. For the longest time, I couldn't stand it, but that's because there's one thing I sorely misunderstood growing up, and now that I'm with child, it hits me like a ton of bricks. I am effectively, because of the fact that I had a daughter, I had my very first child right here. I wasn't prepared. I was not mentally capable of handling the challenge of what it is to be a parent. I didn't. I grew up in a single parent household. It was kind of difficult growing up with a single income, and in the place that I was raised in, it wasn't that easy. So I had a relatively difficult upbringing. I'm not gonna try to compare myself to others and suggest that I lived the worst life, because I mean, I wasn't homeless. We got close to it a number of times, but we were never like for certain we were going to be homeless. We had one night of a severe flood back when I was a teenager, a couple nights of uncertain events, but I mean, I didn't grow up in like some dark place filled with death. It's not like I'm being surrounded by like everything going bad all the time. I did have difficult problems, challenges for sure, but I never had a really dark side. So I'm not going to turn around and say that I just had the worst past. That's not the point of this. I've had a life of opportunity to learn how to grow on my own and do my own thing, and that's what leads me to being able to do what I'm doing. And that is showing others that have to rely on me how to survive, how to keep going. Because believe it or not, I have suffered with serious mental problems for years, being in service and not facing them in a traditional or I guess you could say modern traditional standard, taking active medications, pills, getting into trying to find a job and just to sustain myself, and not trying to say that I haven't been able to take care of myself or my family. It's more or less understanding that, mentally speaking, I'm not personally meant for being in the workplace anymore. All right, 'cause I grew up trying to find work, trying to do stuff, trying to make things easier on my family, and it's always just stuck with me. So now I can actually give that information to her and let her know that the easiest way to move forward is to do just that. Move forward. Yeah, life's going to throw you brick after brick after brick. You're going to be egged, you're going to be beaten, you're going to be hit. I'm not trying to turn into a Rocky Balboa reenactment right here going, this isn't you! I had you in none of that stuff. Because I don't want her to be in her 20s and coming back to me and whining like a baby, and I'm sitting there having to remind her I didn't train her to be like that. And it's not like I'm trying to. That's exactly what I'm supposed to be getting into. I am her parent. She is my daughter. I helped create her. She is a product of my wife and I. And I need to take the responsibility for that. So the one thing that's always drawn me, that has always given me the most interest and has made me continue to pursue things and not fall into a deep pit of despair, of my own mental contraptions that are, well, ingrained from my history that I'm trying to enhance and make better for myself. I'm building business. That's exactly what it is. I'm building business. So now that that's out of the way, that's what I'm getting into. Now we're bringing me food too. Okay. I don't even get to finish the podcast before I gotta do this. Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware. All right. Well, I hope that this doesn't become too boring. I wasn't trying to make this a giant history lesson. Just wanted to let everyone know exactly what I'm getting into. And because of that, what the whole point of what it is that I'm starting out as. The whole point of getting into business that I've come to notice is the gathering of resources, constant gathering of resources. If you're not gathering something, if you're not bringing in something to the table, if you're not absorbing something, you don't have anything to give. You don't have anything to offer others for service. Whether it be a product or a labor or that's actually the only two real things that I've ever been able to tell so far is literally just whether or not you're giving someone a physical object or whether or not you're giving them your time. So service, product or a service. It can be a mixture of both, technically speaking, but that's really dependent on what it is that you're trying to create. And because of what I'm creating, that's why I see it as a product of both. It's literally a product of the product of it's literally the product of a product and a service. I'm doing multiple things, but it's not just one thing at a time. I'm usually knocking out a few things, trying to get a couple things going forward. Like right now, I have my birds first thing in the morning. The next thing I do, I'm working on my house. Third thing I do, I'm working in order, getting things managed, but it's all in a day. Every day that I have to live, breathe, and eat, and take care of this right here, my family. I'm gathering resources. That's all we're doing. We're gathering resources here. I'm trying my best to not go off in a tangent and sound weird. And I don't know how long this podcast was meant to be. That's the thing, is that I'm gathering the resources right now for exactly what it is that I'm getting ready to do too. I know for a fact that I've got some stuff to say when it comes down to my experiences and what I have to offer. But I don't have like a straightforward set of guidelines that is like the perfect path for everyone to pursue. So I don't have like hey, do this, you should do this. I'm not giving people that. I have the energy to just pursue things and then just talk about it. Because I'm experiencing things that I'm not sure might work for others, but you know what? My experiences could work for others because it worked for me, which means it exists. That's all it is. I know for a fact something exists. I want to try it out. I find out how it works. It's a scientific method. But the scientific method fails to mention one key component that makes it a much broader aspect of entrepreneurism. And that is the gathering of resources. You have to, I know one of the things is gather evidence, but that's beforehand. Or that's in the middle of the process. In fact, let me look that up real quick. I'm almost 100% sure I remember that still. Let me see here. Just so I don't screw that up. I'm going to look that up real quick. No, dang it, not 2 tabs. I'm gonna bring it up real quick and I'm gonna show you guys. Gosh dang it, I just did it again. Okay, shift. Thank you. The scientific method. Apparently I don't want to spell today. Then again, I'm holding my daughter, so this is kind of awkward. Okay. So maybe yeah, that's where I was a little bit wrong on it. Let me capture this real quick. I'm gonna go switch on over to this one. All right, so basically right here you have observation, research a topic, hypothesis, test with experiment, analysis, and report conclusions. That's basically how my mind runs 24/7. Just so everyone's aware. This is exactly what I do day in, day out. See how it's a circle? It just keeps going. See how this has a loop back to it? You keep going. But there's always a beginning and an end with these ones. Not to get all philosophical about it. The one thing that I see that has to be an extra though, because this has to have started from somewhere. This line could not exist. This line of thinking could not have existed without some sort of external intervention to make it happen. It wasn't just created out of nothing, basically. This started somewhere. And that comes from observation and questioning. Well, what are you observing? Resources, resource gathering. You get things, you make things happen, and then you stand around and watch. That's all it is. There is that thought process of what happens beforehand just leaping right in. Now, I'll head back, because that was a weird tangent. That's more or less what I'm bringing up and I guess getting ready to make my life's work, is the concept of utilizing the three primary educational aspects, as far as I'm aware, and combining them by making the interconnections or seeing the interconnections between the it's like a triad of knowledge of all the things that we have learned throughout our history. My history, in conjunction with every other business person that I want to meet and include in this channel, because I'd like to be able to interview people eventually, because I want to get more knowledge about it. I want to really dig into what it is that makes business, and not just for me, but for other entrepreneurs that have found success besides just me, because I'm getting into this too. And I want that knowledge. I want to see it. I'm genuinely curious. So that's exactly what I'm bursting into. I am gathering knowledge. That's my resource, is knowledge. I'm seeing the evidence before me by listening to my elders, if you will, because that's one thing I've always grown up with too. Listen to your elders. Well, I will listen to those above me who have taken knowledge, or have taken the knowledge, used it, and found evidential success, and I'm just willing to take on their perspective before I pursue my own. That's exactly what you do as a business, is you start getting into this little process. You gather the resource. So if that means getting knowledge on any particular subject, I'm just adding to it. But that's where I see it start at. Gather the resource, and then you can observe it and then question it. Isn't that exactly what teachers have taught us for the past, or tried to teach us in public school in the U.S. for basically like 2 decades? Because that's what I'm noticing now, is that's all it is. You drug us with a bunch of knowledge, just throw everything at us, and we're just supposed to take it all. Just, I can hear you all day. Yes, I'm listening to 8 different subjects daily for 12, 13 years, and then I may or may not go into college, but then I jump right into some type of job to keep me sustained, so I have something to do, so to keep the cash flowing, to keep the economy running, because that's what I'm supposed to be a part of, is this economy. I'm not supposed to be a freeloader. I'm not supposed to be a homeless person. I'm not supposed to be a hobo. All these potential terms that people can use to realize that they're not taking care of themselves, or being part of the economy, being part of this world with all the people that we have here. No, what I'm now seeing is where the failure of the education system really didn't make aware is what their part in this process was. Because observation and questioning is what we did from the start with. But someone has to be able to give that to observe. Something has to be available to observe. That's the whole point. I wouldn't have a house. I wouldn't have a yard if I didn't know it was already here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here. And my daughter is slowly falling asleep on my lap. Oh, I appreciate that so much. She's comfortable to be with me, so it makes me happy to know that my daughter's not only comfortable, but accepts what it is that I'm doing. I'm not creating a harsh environment for her to not feel comfortable. And it's one thing that has been putting a smile on my face since the day she was born. That keeps me going. She doesn't think that I'm creating a bad environment with her actions. She's comfortable with me. So I know that I must be doing something right as a parent. But that's to more or less finish up and get on with that mindset, thought process. We have to observe something for us to be able to research a topic or idea. That beginning process of observing to research something, there has to be something there. There has to be an input. There has to be an influx of something that's available that you can get to be able to start observing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be observing everything. We'd be looking into the pit of darkness potentially for all of existence. I don't know how else to put it that way. If we couldn't see, if it wasn't right in front of us, if we couldn't hear and we wasn't right next to us, if we couldn't feel it and it wasn't right in front of us, it would not exist from what we understand as physics today. So something has to be available to be there so for you to observe, so that way you can go through the scientific method. And that's exactly what I'm noticing that a teacher is someone who provides knowledge as a resource. And that's the biggest resource that I have. So here's the other thing of it. I've been listening to a podcast since I was deployed in 2014. I just hit my anniversary of listening to him for 7 years. So just about as long as I was in service have I been listening to a podcast. I've been listening to a podcast, wanting to be a podcast for a long time. So I think that's exactly what it was. I got into service. I decided I just wanted to do something. I wanted to try it out. So I got into started out at my own podcast, but I didn't really know where I was going with it. I just know the one big thing that's always gotten me is survival. So I thought about podcasts and just looked into it, and I didn't notice much. I didn't really understand it that well. It wasn't that really interesting to me. And then immediately I went on deployment. Everything started going to, I'd go to say hell in a handbasket. It was just like perfect timing. Everything just flowed forward so destructively smoothly. As that sounds like a conundrum right there. Everything just flowed, even if it wasn't in my favor. So it was very destructive, but it was all very smooth, because otherwise I wouldn't be where I am today. As time flew by, I went on deployment. And while I was deployed, I met someone who introduced me to a podcast. And because I just wasn't sure about it, he basically just gave me a quick order to get my mind set on it. Like, I have to listen to this if I get a direct order. Because it's not an unlawful order to learn. To literally listen to someone and learn. It's not an unlawful order. To listen is not an unlawful order. To enact what the order is, that could be unlawful. So, I started listening to a podcast called The Survival Podcast. And it made so much sense, because it's everything I've wanted to get into. This guy is literally talking about everything that I have always been curious about or been wanting to know about, and just never really gave myself the time to do it on my own. But here he is learning it. So I figured, okay, well now at least I learned about it, so that's good, right? So now I know about it. Well, then what happens with when you know about this? Well, I kept it. I kept it for myself. I had no rhyme or reason to just do anything. I'm glad I had the knowledge. That's where the addiction started. I realized that I had a severe addiction and I needed to figure a way out before it caught on too quickly. I'm addicted to learning. Because I did it for years and it was my way of getting through the day, because like I said, I didn't have the easiest childhood, but I didn't have the worst childhood. I just had a darker childhood. A lot of bad things happened when I was a kid. And as time went on, I realized that by going to school, by maintaining my capacity to be a student, was the only thing that kept me going, because it's all my mom wanted, it's all that my grandma wanted, it's all that my family really wanted in general, but it's not what I wanted. I was just going through the loops because I was so depressed. It was the only thing I could think of was to just finish school, get it done, get it over with, make them happy, and do it. So I did graduate high school, and it wasn't even on a good note. I graduated in the middle of my class, but the areas I excelled in were obvious. It couldn't have been more obvious. And because of that specific evidence of me gaining the knowledge that I had up until I was 18, I decided college was not for me. I wasn't going to do it. I didn't need it. I could learn things on my own. That I am still that headstrong. I will learn things on my own, because that's exactly how you have to do it. Everyone does that. You have to learn on your own. Even if it's at a slower pace, even if it's in a different method, everyone learns at their own pace. If you think that you never learn, you would be dead. That's the thing. You would be dead. Your brain would literally rot. And you would develop the potential for gaining Alzheimer's or dementia. Your brain will literally rot itself to death. I know. I've witnessed it. But by realizing that it's possible for us to be able to gather knowledge, I needed to do the one thing that I really wasn't comfortable with, but I knew I needed to do. And that is experiment. Get into something. Just do it. Make mistakes. Do something. And I failed, and I failed, and I failed, and I keep failing, and it really gets to me because I want it to be good the first time, so I keep making mistakes. Well, now here I am doing the one thing that I figured would be easiest, which is to go back to my basics, because this is what I'm going to be teaching her. This is exactly what I get to teach my daughter. She gets the best education because I'm going to give her as much as I can on my own, with my ability to look into her education. I'm not just going to send her off to a public school and that's it. I'm going to be involved. I am involved in her life right now. I'm going to stay involved with her for however long I can. She's my daughter. My wife and I are going to be able to see the product of our creation becoming something much greater than I had growing up, because I'm making it happen. I'm not letting us sit back and fall anymore. I'm willing to see people grow around me now. It's not the fact that I didn't want people to grow. It's the fact that I didn't want to be involved. I just want to be out of people's lives. Let me do my own path. I'm going to do things my way, and that's it. But now I'm coming to the realization that we need people in our lives, because it does, in fact, having a community around you, having individuals around you that help you grow, makes you a lot stronger than being the lone wolf. I've been good at being a lone wolf. I'm capable of it. I have an immense amount of knowledge that I can give. But I don't have like a teaching degree. I don't have a certificate. I don't have any proof that I went through the standardized education system to be able to get a piece of paper that says, hey, you're allowed to tell someone something that is going to change their life forever. Are you ready to take on that challenge? I was ready to take on that challenge the moment I raised my right arm and swore my oath to this country. Because I am supposed to defend this country from both foreign and domestic terrorists. Well, what's the biggest terror of all? A lack of knowledge. Because without knowledge, you don't have the power to be able to get yourself through and do what you have to do to survive. Get knowledge. Observe. Research. And then start making yourself a life. Find things to do. Just get things into it. Because I can always break down to the next part and realize after you do research, you have to hypothesize. That's according to the scientific method. The standard scientific method. You hypothesize. Well, I'm going to hypothesize right now that I'm going to be able to take on this challenge of actually getting into a podcast and making something of it. Which is the reason why I'm actually wanting to let everyone know. Doing this, I am here on Twitch, and because podcasts do have some sort of business aspect, which is what I'm getting into, which is the product of being an entrepreneur, a businessman. And by getting into business, you'll learn a lot, and one thing that I've constantly going back to is realizing that you have to gather resources. So one resource that is available is currency. I am streaming live now on Twitch as a quick reminder to everyone watching. If you'd like to catch me live, I'm going to be doing my best to keep it, turn on the camera and ready to go live on Twitch exclusively for right now. 10 a.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I want to at least give myself a start, just a beginner point. Something that I can designate for myself and find out if it works for me and work on it from there. In addition to that, you can always, if you want to financially support it, you can always subscribe to Twitch. I'm getting other methods involved because one big thing that I have been researching and observing is the concept of diversifying one's income. But that's a concept for another time. I just really wanted to be able to let everyone know that you can gather as much knowledge as you need and then start your processes of what it exactly is that you just observed, and then think, which is the whole point of questioning in the observation/questioning portion of the scientific method. When you observe something, you question. Usually, most people have a question, even if it's not a necessarily big question. Most people are usually thinking while they're just sitting down or doing anything. This is how my mind runs 24/7. I'm constantly questioning things. I'm constantly asking things. I'm very curious as an individual. I am basically a giant man-child who is ready to ask questions all day. I'm just very, unfortunately, introverted and don't have a lot of confidence in speaking with others, so I sit here on live stream and try my best to not make it as unawkward as possible when I don't have anybody else in front of me, but I can sit here and talk to a camera all day because, honestly, your words mean one thing, but as an audience, seeing people in front of me, I can't read body language that well. It's a problem with Asperger's syndrome, so being autistic is definitely an aspect that I'm working with, but I've only come to, I guess, not really accept it, but understand that it's not a problem. It's something I can use. It's just a tool I can use. So I have observed that I have been informed that I'm autistic. I've been researching what it is. She's asleep until you came in. I've been gathering knowledge for a long time about many topics, including Asperger's syndrome, because I was given the diagnosis. And post that, I am now instead of finding a way to medicate or to, actually no, this is my medication. This is my medication, to be able to explore my own brain and give you guys the wealth of knowledge that I have. So many people are popping up these days on the spectrum of autism, some with Asperger's, some without. I happen to be a very high functioning individual associated with Asperger's syndrome, but I use it to my advantage. That's exactly what I've learned after a very long life of not knowing that I was autistic. Now that I have the knowledge, I've gotten the resources of understanding exactly what it is and what it does, or what it is like to be autistic, if you will. It has a tie into all of this concept of making a business. If you literally think about it, this is not a lie whatsoever. Not a freaking. I am so freaking excited to realize that how true it is. To realize just how freaking easy it is to realize that I am actually part of one of the. I'm not gonna toot my own horn. I don't want to sound like I'm getting on my high horse and then I'm high on myself. I'm just gonna point this out. One of the smartest people in the world that we're currently aware of, or that most of the world in social media is currently aware of, that happens to be the richest person on our planet in currency of the bank enrolled system. US dollar, pesos, you name it. The guy has resources. Do you realize that Elon Musk is literally autistic? He admitted it live on Saturday Night Live. He told people that he openly had Asperger's syndrome, but he's not sure if he's the only member of the staff that has it, but he can tell that he knows that he has Asperger's. He knows that other people might have it, but might not be open about it. Not only am I open about it, but I almost see it as a strength. I almost see this title of Asperger's syndrome. It's like this concept. It's what makes me and drives me. But it's not what I identify as. I don't identify as an autistic person. Screw identity. It's nothing about how I personally think that I am. It's understanding what it is that is expressed to us as symptoms that they try to turn around and tell us that is associated with a mental disorder. But the only thing is that I've always understood is that your order of things is not always my order of things. So it may look like clutter. It may look like order and disarray to you. It may look like all my ducks are not in a row. But that's because you don't know how my brain works. I'm efficient. I am extremely efficient. I have set myself where I'm at into such a manner that I know exactly where everything is, what it does, what I'm going to use it for, and I'm ready to go. It's working with others that I struggle to maintain that. And that's where I'm learning how to enhance my capacity to learn. I do want to learn body language. I struggle with it. It's a really hard concept, but I'm learning. And that's what I'm using the addiction I have of learning to pursue the potential for me to be able to be greater than I have ever seen for myself to believe that I can be. I have a very unique philosophy and choice of living style that I don't think many people actually realize just how impactful it is. Not trying to get all preachy on everyone. I think if we're not moving forward, we're stagnant or we're going backwards. That's where the concept of positive versus negative outlook is going. If you're not moving forward with time, with everyone else, if you're not doing something, you're moving in a positive direction. And this is by a lot of societal perception. I personally, I'm still trying to find out if that's accurate for me to completely conceptualize and, I guess, ascribe to the knowledge that moving forward with time, that it actually is the best thing for us, or as a species, I guess. I don't know how really to make that not sound weird, but if you're not moving forward, technically you're moving backwards. Even if you're just pausing, even if you just stop, you go nowhere. You're just staying still. You're not doing anything. You're not helping, you're not hurting, you're not doing anything for anybody but yourself. And even then, you're just barely doing anything. True neutral, if you will. For any of you gamers out there. If you're not moving, then that just means that forward is still going. My bad. You guys are on the you guys have the camera on the other side, so forward is still going. Neutral doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. Time may move, but it stays stagnant. So by all technicality, because something is moving forward in time, you're moving behind in time. You're not doing anything. That's the reason why, and my evidence behind that concept is in the fact that when you go to a, sorry, I was looking at the screen to make sure that I moved. Now I'm looking back at the camera. Kind of a weird concept. I'm still learning about this. Being in the town that I grew up in, one big thing was there was a massive joke that persisted throughout most of my life, and I still love the joke to this day. So the entire state of Montana, which is the state that I grew up in for the majority of my life, Montana is 20 years behind everyone else. So you have the West Coast, where I'm at now, which is like heavy progressive, and everything's about making progress, but they're also about it's like they don't know where to settle. It's seriously like they don't know where to settle. It's just so weird. And then the right side, which is all living in the friggin' 18th century or something like that. Back when 1776, the birth of this country, occurred. It's almost like between the two, that Montana, right in the middle, is like 20 years behind everyone, technologically speaking, socioeconomics. It's just, we're behind. Where I grew up at specifically is 50 years behind. People were still using a rotary phone when I was growing up. That's the reason why I'm called a boomer, even though I'm literally a week away from being 28 years old. I've been out of school for a decade. Out of high school, public school, the public education system, the private sector, I just got out of. I am officially graduated from college. But that's actually one thing I wanted to go on about another time. I'm not really happy about that, but I wanted to talk about, because it is a pretty impactful thing, and I'm thinking I'm going to talk about it probably at the beginning of the year. Actually, I really want to like open it up with like what happened, why, and what I'm doing to move forward. And then maybe I can give you all an accurate representation of exactly what it is that I'm trying to do with this podcast. Something more formulated. Right now I'm kind of winging it. I'm just kind of talking out my butt, but that's just because I'm trying my best I'm openly deciding here live right now on Twitch what it is that I'm trying to do. As an entrepreneur, digging into the product of my own creation and developing more as time goes on, I'm digging into, well, I want to learn as much as possible about food. It's been in my face most of my life, and it's something that we have to have every day. So I'm learning as much as I can about food, and I'm making it basically my lifestyle, because food, like, we all use it. It's fuel, and that's what I'm trying to get into. So I'm gathering resources in that aspect, and that's exactly what I'm roping to. Man, I talk so country for someone who doesn't like the country. I mean, I don't like being in the country per se. I like being in a I like being secluded. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the country. I don't want to be in the fields. I don't want to have like a field of crops. I'd rather have like uh, um well, I'm not gonna lie. It's the resource that I wanted before I settled where I'm at now. I have been looking for a minimum of 10 acres. I want 10 acres to work with. It's my lab. If I own that acreage, you got to realize an acre is close to 43,000 square feet. Most people's houses are around 1,000 square feet. Most people's houses are around 1,000 square feet. 43,000 square feet is an acre. I grew up on a tenth of an acre, about closer to 4 or 5,000, or 4 or 5,000 square feet. Wasn't huge, but I wanted that for most of my life, and the reason why is because of exactly what I loved to do when I was in school. I was basically in gym class and shop class and math class. Those are the only classes I loved. I dealt with English because they repeated the same crap for years. I hated it because it always seemed like the same thing. We just have to reiterate the fact that we like no sentence structure. I mean, yeah, congratulations. Knowing what a comma versus a semicolon is a kind of a deal if you're worried about it. But they have technology that I don't have to remember that now, which is really nice, and I really am willing to look into becoming a business with, because as far as I'm concerned, I talk all the day, but I'm not really good at typing and writing. I talk a lot. And vocally, it's a lot easier than written. I used to read like crazy when I was a kid, but now it's not so much because I like to watch. I like to observe as often as possible. And reading, you get only a minor aspect. You get a snippet. Whereas there is so much going on around us to look at and pay attention to. That's the reason why this economy is driving into attention span, keeping people's attention. That's the reason why I'm on YouTube. I'm looking at what it takes to gather attention, to bring it to you. Hi DK, good to see you. Glad to have you on here. I don't know how much longer I'll be on. I am trying my best to just kind of fly through this knowledge and basis and where I'm starting out at. And it looks like I have something, but I'm close to being finished. I can tell that I've got almost nothing else to say about it right now, which is something that this is what I've been trying to get into for a long time. I have a lot of knowledge, but I can only speak so much before I'm burnt out. I will talk all day, as you guys notice, but there are moments where I pause and I have nothing else to say, or I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. I'm getting to that point. And that's actually I'm surprised that I've actually gotten to that point. It's hitting a good stance. It's realizing when I've drained my resource, my brain energy. I know what resources are. I've always been resourceful, and that's the best part. Being an entrepreneur and being autistic, being a veteran, being a parent, whatever labels I'm going to be using over the next year or so, just to learn what it is that's going on now. Instead of having a label to have a label, I'm using the labels to show exactly what they're needed for. I don't see a reason to have a label just to call me a name. I don't want I don't really care about what pronoun people use. I don't have problems with transgenderism. I'm personally just not for it particularly. I'm not against it. I'm just not for it. But that's because if I go into just how much I've been absorbing on social media while I've been processing exactly what it is that is being put out into all of the internet right now, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. So many things are popping up, and a really big thing is identity politics because of gender and sex. That the whole concept of understanding that kids, teenagers, and young adults all like are all really heavily involved with what they identify as. And I don't think it's what I identify as that makes a difference. It's what I do with myself that you guys, as the outside world, can decide whether or not I'm displaying something in your own perception as this or that. If you think I'm acting girly, I mean, that's your perception. I don't understand that whatsoever, and I'm using the ability for me to be able to understand some aspects of identity to make it possible for me to be able to utilize the ins and outs of the definitions of those identities. Parent, for instance. I'm a parent. There's a lot that is involved in that, obviously. The big one that gets me the most is content creator, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I am live streaming to the entire world as far as I can reach, even though obviously I'm not that big of a channel. But that's exactly what the internet's offering to me. I'm paying for a service. I have gathered my resource of paying for, and I'm paying with something. I'm giving an outflux of my goods for their services, and I'm utilizing it for this ability right now. And the hypothesis I can put into this is that if I keep going, if I keep pursuing, if I keep giving this wealth of knowledge, that it might actually turn over and do something for someone that might be for the good. And that's all my goal is. I am trying to do good for the world, not just for myself, because I love learning. But now that I have someone to teach, I have no choice but to see that I am now a teacher. At least I don't, and I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. It's not like I don't have any choice in life. No, it's because I chose to become a parent and stuck with being able to have my daughter in my life. And not to say that I wouldn't have, but because I chose that. Because I'm wanting her in my life and I'm moving forward with it, I'm learning how to be more accepting of others, to be able to maybe give back. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give back. I have been taking and taking and taking and taking. I have been a parasite most of my life. And now I want to be in a symbiotic relationship. I want to be in a state of symbiosis with the entire world. And then possibly beyond. That's my goal. That is what I am doing now. It hits me because I am, like I said, I'm a week away from my birthday. I have been out of public school for 10 years. And I am just now getting into what it is that I have been wanting to do for a very long time, which was share the knowledge that I have. Now that I don't feel as pressured, I don't have to be in a stadium full of people talking my butt off while I'm standing around looking at millions and millions of people. I can literally just pay a service to give me access and make it happen. They have opened up a doorway for someone like me. And that's what I appreciate about being able to utilize these resources. Like, this is a resource. Your internet provider is a resource. Your phone is a resource. I'm gathering my resources, and I can deep dive so much further into that, but I think that there's a better kind of method to going about that, about really talking about all the different resource types. I personally just am letting you know that that's exactly what a successful business does. It gathers resources constantly. I kid you not, I have a hobby, or I have a problem with making a hobby, or making hobbies. I constantly get into hobbies. I'm a hobbyist, if you will. Hobbyist. I just got that. Wow, my brain goes flying. And I take hobbies and I make them into something else, something bigger, because I always want to scale up. I never want to stay where I'm at. Yes, I made a circuit. I put together an LED and a battery, and now it's lighting up. Well, now I want to upscale it. Can I make a how bright how many LEDs can I put in order and keep the same amount of brightness? Will it degrade the battery? I'm curious, so I keep going and I can't stop. I literally have an addiction for learning. I'm willing to throw away every last ounce of money that I get if it means I get to learn something. But now I'm starting to get hit hard when I realize that I need to have an outflux too. So even though I don't have a teaching degree, even though I don't have some sort of paper that tells me that I am allowed to teach others because I believably gained the access to knowledge and now can provide it for others in my own format, I mean, that's exactly what teaching seems to me. That's exactly what it looks like. But what I'm doing with it, so first off, I'm going to let you know straightforward, I have 2 very small degrees, 2 associate's degrees. I'm still in the process of actually attaining the paper for the second one just to be able to prove to you guys that it does exist. But for all intents and purposes, according to the college's requirements and how to proceed forward with their recommended study line of all the classes they have available, I have an associate's in arts for a specific purpose. It's called the direct transfer agreement. It's literally just like a free ride into university. If you go to community college and get an associate's in arts direct transfer agreement, you literally just give yourself access to being able to get to university. It to me it seemed useless, but that's because of the fact that it felt like a giant quantity of just repeated classes. I had to take English just to prove that I had I was capable of still maintaining some English language while I'm speaking to others and writing to others somehow. Because you know what, in the 6 years that I was I was in service and not in college, clearly I forgot about all that stuff. Clearly, no, that's because they keep changing the freaking system, so it changes. It just goes everywhere. It's so unnecessary. But to further on that, I had to repeat a bunch of classes, it felt like, and when I finally started getting into, I need to start taking other classes because I've got a different interest now. I started going towards the I was just gonna get a general degree, and I went up and I got an interest in science, and then I kept going, and then I wanted to be an engineer, and now specifically I'm an electrical engineer. I tapped through so many things because I can't keep with anything. I want to get into stuff, try it out, and then expand. And when I can't expand fast enough, I move on. So I just kept moving and kept moving, and well, I wasted the majority of my post 9/11 GI Bill just bouncing around every year. I didn't like it that year, so I changed it. So I kept doing that. Well, I had enough credits to basically just get my associates in arts, just a basic generic degree. And then that provided me to university level where I started pursuing the science, pursuing my interest in the science. But it's because I have a weird perspective and I don't know how to vocalize it in the best manner. Thank you, autism, for making communication so friggin' difficult. At least I don't think I should blame it, so that's my fault. But what I'm trying to get into now is understanding that I can pursue my own education because now I have an associate in arts, and it just so happens that associates I happen to take 2 very specific classes that I really, really wanted to try out because I'm not familiar with the concept of being on a set. I've watched movies my entire life, so I might have, I mean, it's an observation. I like the concept of watching movies, so I wanted to learn about movies. I took video editing. I didn't think that it would end up being so much more. I thought it was literally just going to be us watching clips and then we edit videos. No, we got on a set, we made our own script, we did the entire enchilada. I did for an educated class, a free educated class according to the post 9/11 GI Bill, to learn about how to basically become a successful YouTuber, how to be a content creator, because now I got something to show me exactly all the processes. I created a story, I put together and filmed it, then I edited it, or I drew it all back, I looked at all the footage, I got all the files synced together, and then I edited the crap out of it and made it what I wanted. And then we watched it. That's all it is! Holy crap! I mean, I've known that there is a method of extraction for being able to make that stuff. I mean, movies happen. But obviously not all movies are real. The Matrix. There ain't no way you can outdo a speeding bullet. Come on. Watching Fast and Furious. There's no way you're going to be jumping that kind of distance unless it's on set. Like, they're setting up a situation where they're making things happen like a stunt. So that way things can actually be real, but in a safe manner. So I had to really dig into that because I've always wanted to make movies real life. Like The Hacksmith on YouTube. Make it real. He's talking about weapons and technology and development in the education of mankind. I'm interested in being able to take the art side of it because I love being able to film. I don't like being gifted things. I like earning things. So it got really awkward for me when my camera broke this year, and now I'm down to just my phone. That's the reason why everything I post is like a YouTube Shorts on YouTube, obviously, or I'm starting to film again for TikTok. Just quick little stuff, but apparently I talk about this stuff so much that my wife's friend that still wants to meet me apparently gifted me. This is what I don't get. I got gifted from someone I don't even know, have never even met. I don't even think they've watched my channel or subscribed to my channel or followed or anything. They haven't done anything for my lifestyle outside of knowing my wife. That hits really quick. And he bought me a camera. Now it's not like we're not talking like a high-end $1,000 camera, but the fact is he bought me a camera and he specifically told me, so shout out to him for kind of giving that encouragement. I really appreciated. Go record, edit, upload, and stream is what it basically said, in a matter of speaking. It was very polite, very inspiring to me to see that someone that I don't even know wants me to pursue this. And I want to now on a regular basis, and that's what I've been building up towards. So that's exactly what I'm doing here on this podcast. I am digging into what it is, my journey as an entrepreneur, and what that can mean for other people. Like what can I offer you guys besides the knowledge on how to do your own thing through the basics of what it is. What is business? Why pursue it? How to be successful in it? Because clearly it's not easy, but you have to do something, and the very easiest thing to do is to gather information. Before you do anything, gather information. So it says observe, but you have to find the resource that you're trying to observe. What it is that you're wanting to do. You have to pay attention to it. I wanted to learn about food. What did I go ahead and do? I bought 32 birds. So I'm just going to lay that flat out there. I went, pardon my phrasing, but balls in. I threw everything I had into it because I knew that it would make something. It would happen. Something good would come from it. Well, observation is is for a visual gathering. But see, that's the thing though. What are you observing? What are you gathering? What are you attaining? I am personally attaining the resource of food, knowledge, gathering intel and what? Yes. So That's the reason why it's a weird concept, and that's why I don't know how to exactly describe it in any other way, other than realizing that, like if you observe a farmer or mechanic, you replicate. Yes, you can almost. I wouldn't say that it's like photographic memory. Like, how does photographic memory work? Because believe it or not, before I had a concussion, I had basically the perfect memory. Spot on. I could remember minute details from the most random things and tell them to my family. But aside from that odd topic that I could always get into later, the concept of how to attain a photographic memory, because it wasn't overnight. I actually did learn how to do that. I taught myself how to remember as much as possible. It was a very weird time. Holy crap. But aside that right there is the whole point, though. I taught myself. I had to learn something, so I found a resource and I did it. You have to bring yourself around a resource to make the scientific method possible. Observe and question means that it starts with you. But the problem is that it doesn't start with you. It starts with something else. It starts with something external. Something that's away from you. That's not you. Not you directly, in a way. Because you can use yourself as your own resource. Like listening to your body. Being mindful. Paying attention to what you're doing. That's not necessarily being selfish. That is being aware of yourself so as to not... It's knowing how to work with yourself as if you weren't yourself. So that way you can, in fact, make it possible to work with others on a deeper level. And then you say, like for instance, someone shows you how to use a bandsaw or how to care for plants. You observe them and then you experiment. Exactly. That's more or less what it is. But I never enjoyed being told, like, I had to show up and I had to do this, had to do that. So I'm looking into this process where I am now reaching out on my own. I'm personally, it's the drive. It's what makes me get up. I have to go check something out. So if I'm interested in something, look into it. If while you're doing it, if while you're there you don't enjoy it, find something else. Instantly. You have to do it. Otherwise it won't work. You have to be able to switch tasks if you're not gaining an interest, because you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of thinking. That's the reason why it looks like ADD or ADHD, is because I'm literally just bouncing from the next topic to the next, to the next, to the next, if I don't find an interest right then. It's kind of like the weirdest addiction to want to learn, but it's utilizing the tool and mechanism of having an attention span issue and bringing it to my use. It's actually being usable. I'm not medicating. I'm not bringing in things to prevent me. I'm utilizing it for the purpose of making better. And then you say, kind of like riding a bike, you just do it, you may fall, but keep going and you'll get it eventually. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you still have to go ask. That's the whole point. There's always this outside feedback, and that's what many people fail to remember, is that once you start doing this method of thinking, it's conducting the scientific method isn't just about doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's about finding things and then going down that process. I mean, that's the reason why high-end degrees exist. You found something, now you want to study the crap out of it, but now you're only knowledgeable in one subject. There are several other subjects. That's the reason why big degrees are so specific. There are several variants of several different types of educational paths. You just have to find the route that you want to go. And I don't want to just stick with one. The scientific method is circular by nature. It has a loop. It keeps going back. You keep going in a different direction. Or you keep going in a direction all the time. You don't stop. It always goes. You've got to be able to keep up with that. Otherwise, you will end up in a very bad situation where you feel like you're never going anywhere in life. You might end up having a midlife crisis when you're very young. and then you just basically don't look forward to life. You stop doing things for yourself that actually benefit not only you, but others around you. And then, believe it or not, this is the hugest effect. Right here, this is the hugest effect. If I just let myself go, she's going to see somebody that's not trying. She's going to witness something that this little person right here and every other person out there that happens to be an infant is going to witness their parent or some type of authority figure show them what basically living is like. And if we're showing them that we're giving up, that we're not doing stuff, that we're just getting by, then that's exactly what they're going to do, just getting by. And I don't want to get by. I want to do better for her and for myself. She broke me. That's all it is. She broke me. And now I'm picking up the pieces. My cup runneth over, as the Bible says, and the weight of that run over broke my cup, and now I'm taking the time to let the knowledge spread and gathering my pieces to rebuild my life, because I've destroyed a lot. I've done a horrible time being able to gather and provide and be a part of anything that makes a difference. So I'm changing that. This is just the beginning, and I really hope that this coming year I will witness a faster growth than I've ever witnessed, because that is my New Year's resolution. I want to be able to see myself not give up on something if I don't see fast enough growth. Seeing every last one of you guys hit that follow button, hit subscribe, to interact with my channel, that brings me the greatest joy. It's humbling to see that people actually view me as viewable, that I'm accepted by you guys. As weird as that sounds, I don't mean to sound like someone who's like got problems with self-acceptance. It's just the fact that I'm glad that you guys do accept me and that you're here. So with that, it is nearly noon. I need to feed my dogs, and I am actually surprised that I went on for nearly an hour and a half of letting you guys know exactly what it is that this podcast is turning into. I'm actually going to do this. So I will see you guys all next Monday. My 1 year anniversary of the day that I started streaming actively again, because it was on the 2nd, but I don't stream on Sundays right now, or I don't think I stream on Sundays anymore. I'll be streaming again on Monday, hopefully 10 a.m. if I can keep to it. I plan on actually having some stuff written down, because the topic that I've been wanting to get onto next, currency, the greatest freaking demise, and yet also the greatest potential for, well, our species as Homo sapiens to thrive or die. We'll find out. But yeah, that's exactly what I was getting onto next year. Because one big resource to gather, currency. But it's because of its proof of currency. And that's one thing that I'm looking forward to being able to try that one out. But I got to do that for not only you guys, but also my neighbors. So it's like you guys got a double whammy on it. So thank you guys very much for showing up to this. I'm actually going to take a moment to look through, or check out the comments now that I'm not just doing this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Please do the @JackSlate99 so that way I can know that it's directly to me, not just a general crowd or stream chat concept, but specifically to me, and I will do my best to keep up with it and read it if you guys so choose. Otherwise, I really appreciate everyone actually, like, do you not realize that we've gotten this far? We're nearly a half a day away, and it is the end of the year. Congratulations on making it to the end of the year, everyone. Let's make 2022 even better. Together. Every last one of us. And DK, you said, kind of like how yesterday I asked you about the bread starter. I started a few times, then you asked a few questions which helped me understand the fermenting process. Oh, yeah. See, that still gets to me. That right there still gets to me. I have only done it once by myself. Twice, technically, if you count with one other person. I have just barely experimented with it, but because I know about it, I mean, it's knowledge. I'm an outside resource now. I taught something that I just wasn't expecting. I can be a teacher because of a podcast. I can be an inventor if I open up my own science and tech channel. I can be, let's see here. What was my list? You guys are gonna. I hope you guys love this. This is how crazy I am right now. Okay. So I've been thinking about recording, not only doing a live stream, but recording a few different channels. I'm not really sure if I want to diversify on Twitch just yet, just because I don't know. I don't want to do multiple streams unless I can think about the possibility of having more people with me, like more hosts. I don't want it just to be just me. I'd rather. There's a group on YouTube right now called Unloose the Goose that it just so happens that the podcast I listen to happens to be a part of, and it just so happens that my sponsor, Food Forest Farms, happens to also be a part of. So I've learned quite a bit through them doing that, and I'm thinking that would be a good idea. Would be to have, if I were to have multiple streaming services or streaming channels, I want it to have a multitude of people that I'm actually talking to and working with. It's a lot to take in. And after learning things from you, I was able to teach my dad about it. See, that's cool, right? Like, knowledge actually goes both ways. It's not just to the youth; it's also to the people that. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say the elderly, but it's to our elders. If they are technically, by all theory, a year or any age older than you, a day older than you or above, they are technically an elder. But not every elder is worth listening to. Just as not every infant's worth listening to. But I most definitely believe that everyone's deserving of our time. And that's the reason why I think that's amazing, that we can still teach our parents as well as them teach us. But this is exactly what I've been going towards on the content creation side of it, just making videos, not even streaming. So I'm about ready to start up my Jack Slate 909 vlog. This is just kind of like daily observance and talking to people about that stuff, because that's what I do. I observe and I think and I reflect. So it's a more simplified scientific method, but that's all I do, and that's what I wanted to do, because I'm doing many things, but it all started when I decided to actively do video uploads to Jack Slate 999, Jack Slate 999 brand, if you will. And I kind of always teach them when it comes to technology, and they teach me about life stuff like insurance and credit. See, I'm actually getting that into myself now, so it's actually kind of funny that I'm actually reaching out to professional businesses about that. And that gets me on to this podcast. It's my way of opening up my own business for being able to be an influencer who teaches, not only entertains but teaches. I'm still a gamer at heart, so I'm getting ready to do something I've been on and off about for years, which is called Level Up. I'm actually going to be getting into that one here real soon. I'm just about ready to finish up Stardew tonight, so at least I hope that I finish Stardew tonight. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be up for. It's the beginning of the year. I might just make it a celebration. I don't know. I really don't know. Lion's Den, which is I'm pretty sure everyone else has got into, is that's the one. That's the lifestyle design. That's everything I've got going on here. I'm building up a lifestyle where I never have to go anywhere else. I'm fully self-sustained. If I want to go out, it's because I can, not because I have to, because I can. I'm developing my own music for my own intros and outros now, so it's oh man, I never thought I'd get into music, but I'm just curious. I want to like stretch my voice and try it out. I'm really curious about that. Which reminds me about the next thing. I was toying with the idea, but I'm calling it Curious Jack, where I'm basically just pursuing what it is that I'm curious about. Like, electrical engineering. I want to develop stuff, so I'm just gonna make stuff. I want to make a shorts film channel, if you will, just like the PewDiePie and Markiplier intro and outro songs. Basically, yes, I have something inside and outside. It's freaking amazing that I can actually do that. And then I have some. It's so if everyone knows what Iron Man is, and we all know who Jarvis is. Jarvis is just an acronym. I'm utilizing that name and making it my own. So instead of Jarvis, I'm just calling it Jack. Jack, in short order form. And I'm thinking about, it's like just a cool kid, because that's all it is. I want to develop my own films, like actual movies, not just videos for YouTube, but I want to test out the possibility of making a full-length feature film for YouTube. How like who's done that before? Seriously, has anybody ever thought about that? YouTube is all about, they like longer format videos, so YouTube Shorts are starting to are starting to become a thing with TikTok, in competition with TikTok. But would you do a stop motion on the skits channel? Wait, on the skits channel? I don't think I said skits, did I? Stop motion is something I'm curious about, and I've been interested in attempting for myself, kind of because I know one of my biggest interests in filming was, or is still, Tim Burton, who does all of those stop motion action films. But it's fantastic, and he's got such a large crew, but he's doing amazing with being able to make really good still motion or stop motion action. I'm thinking about making. So it's a large endeavor, obviously, because it's a lot of filming, it's a lot of characterization, it's storyboarding, there's so much to it. But basically, everyone's doing YouTube Shorts these days to do the whole attention span of the audience. So you can have 15 seconds up to a minute long, and the minimum that occurs that I'm really curious about, that I really don't understand fully, is that YouTube wants to have 8-minute long videos? Okay, like that's the bare minimum threshold to get monetized? Okay, whatever. I don't know yet because I haven't been monetized, but that's just what I've heard. That's what I've been researching and understanding. What I'm getting into now is many movies are 45 minutes, or an episode on TV is 45 minutes long. Usually, 45 to an hour, or sometimes an hour and 20 at max. At least that's what I've come to see over time. You have the next level up, which is full-length feature films, which are anywhere between an hour and 2 hours. Usually about an hour and 20 to an hour and 30. Rarely does it hit 2 hours. But the 2-hour films are usually the big ones that always make history, like Lord of the Rings. I believe the Star Wars series counts because it is a trilogy. Like there's a continuous movement of movies towards it, and it created its own universe. So that's another thing, is it's these really big films that make monumental push in society, that they make so much happen. And that's exactly what I want to get into, is making full-length feature films from the perspective of an AI. Jack the AI, just a cool kid. And being able to make a video out of that'd be holy shoot. I don't know how I can keep up with that. And then lastly, I wanted to do something to start out with on this channel, or my bad, on when I start streaming. I just wanted to diversify and try it out. But I've been recommended to do reactions, because I have the weird, I just have different reactions. Everyone has different reactions, but I guess mine are curious enough. I just figured, you know what, I'll get into something. So if I give you guys a topic, I tell you to show me a bunch of stuff, and I open the door for the possibility of me reacting to it, and maybe you get something out of it. I would actually like to I'd like to consider that a channel, because it's just something small, something easy, but it's not something that's supposed to be exclusively difficult. It's just something to start out with that I'm curious about, because I do like the concept of being able to diversify into multiple locations even with locations that I'm not particularly interested in, because everyone reacts. Everyone can have a reaction. But if it's interesting, if you're actually, if the audience goes for it, why not? I'm just looking into the differences that I can try. And that brings me to a grand total of 8 channels. I would bring it up to 9, but realistically, I already have TikTok. I don't think I need any more right now. I got 9 things to try to make happen. And the main things that are going to be happening is I'm going to have a daily vlog for Jack Slate 999 all next year. From January 1st, 2022 until December 31st, 2022, I will have 365 individual vlogs. It doesn't matter if it's a YouTube short or if it's a full 8-minute video just to meet the standard until I get monetized. Any of that stuff, I don't care. I'm just going to try it out. Gaming's going to get updated in time because I am going to be gaming here on stream. And I'm just now starting to consider utilizing some of that to make, I guess, better, interesting videos. Because I'm not always going to be playing multiplayer. I do plan to play some things on my own, and that's more or less what I'm trying to. It's just my own Let's Plays. I mean, I really enjoy games. They help me explore my brain. So that's exactly what I do, is I play games. Then, of course, you got what I'm doing right now, Lion's Den and The Dawn Has Spoken. So I'm actively doing both of those. I'm getting ready to upload another video today. Hopefully this little girl doesn't want to wake up and keep me up all night, and that way I can actually get something done. Something else done, at least. I needed a stop motion years ago, and I didn't have a camera, so I used my Nintendo DS camera. Wow. Now that's resourceful. I sent my super old, super short claymation. Nice. I'm gonna love seeing that. Well, I think that's what it comes down to. As of tomorrow, I'm gonna start doing a little bit of singing, and we're gonna try out our very first music channel that involves just me singing. I want to make it a music thing because I want to diversify into the different areas of YouTube, because they all have different monetization levels, and I want to test out which ones are, like, what's the best, what's the worst, and just go for it. So I have different things that I'm trying to get into. Just my personality, gaming, lifestyle, podcast and business, music, education, I think entertainment, I guess. And I think another entertainment. I'm not really sure what Jack Reacts and Just a Cool Kid Jack is going to be doing, but we'll find out. It doesn't even register as a second. It's that short. Wow. I mean, you got a lot recorded there, obviously, right? Well, I think that does it for me. I do need to get off and take care of the animals and take care of office stuff. I will be sending out an email and trying my best to make sure that I can actually collab to make a decent music video, because I don't know where to start. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys tonight here on stream, here on this computer. Hopefully play some Dying Light. Otherwise, I'm going to finish off some Stardew. I need to play as much Stardew as possible and get it finished, get it out of the way, get those 2 little skills out of the way, and then hopefully start the year off on a high note, and then just keep it going. But I can feel my nose getting stuffy, which means it's getting colder. So, and it's past noon, my time. So, I think without further ado, it's time to call in an end to stream. I really do appreciate everyone that showed up, and I really do appreciate all those that are still around, staying around, paying attention. It is really helpful, and I'd like to see more growth, and I really hope that you guys can help me get there. So in the meantime, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much for showing up. Please consider hitting that follow button if you haven't done so already. Here on Twitch and on TikTok, it's completely free. But if you want to subscribe, if you feel like you can part ways with your hard-earned income, which I completely understand if you don't, but I do appreciate all the support that I get here. If you guys do wish to part ways with your income, you can always subscribe to the channel, and if you want to do it for free, it's always available over at YouTube. I will see you guys this evening, but for right now, Jack Slate 999 is signing out.